our thought-provoking question for today, and something that I think is a good thing to think about if you are wondering what you're going to do later, your next travel trip. This conversation might help you decide where you want to go or give you the oomph you need to get going and get there. So I know sometimes when we're thinking about traveling or we're thinking about going somewhere, it's easy to say, oh, I'll do that tomorrow, or I'll do that next year, or that's in my 5-year plan. If you would like to go do something, or you want to travel somewhere, or there's something you want to accomplish, here's my, lighthearted, not so serious suggestion. Get going, get off your butt and do it, because tomorrow might not come. The thing might not be there. You might not be here. The person you want to go with might not be here. There is absolutely no reason to wait. So, moving on from there, just so you have my my 2 cents on that. So today's question is, our topic is, what landmark, man-made or historic, do you want to see before it's gone? So if you read the description, wherever you are, there's a few on my list that I haven't gotten to see yet. I've gotten to see a lot of things because my family and my parents were very big on traveling. So I've had the opportunities to see a ton of stuff. So thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. And yeah, so things on my list are the Taj Mahal, Versailles, the Egyptian pyramids, the Hanging Gardens, and the Glacier. So it's a really brief list. There's really a ton more, but there wasn't enough space in the Facebook video description to actually write it all out. So someday I will make a comprehensive list of all the places I want to go. So I want to hear from you. What do you want to see before it's gone? So like I said, man-made, historic, or natural, whatever gets you excited. Follow-up questions to that question. If you've been following along with Legacy Recorder, you know that I love asking follow-up questions and making you think about how you feel about a topic, how you feel about someone or something, and how that impacts your life and what you're going to do about it going forward. So a couple follow-up questions is starting with, why do you want to see that place? I love asking that question because it makes people think about the importance of something, why they want to do it, and it makes them kind of stop for a second and go, I don't actually know why. And then they spend a little time exploring that. If you happen to be having this conversation with someone else, then you are able to find out from them why that thing is happening for them or why they're thinking about it. And that might lead to other areas of their life that you might not have been able to talk about before. So, next question is, what do you think you will feel when you are standing there? So, I love being in a new place, especially ones I've always wanted to go, or something that kind of fell into my lap that I didn't know I wanted to see or wanted to be, like where I wanted to be. And when you're standing in a place, whether it's something that has massive historic value to you as a person or to your culture or society at large, and you're standing there in front of this thing, there's a huge, depending on what it is, there's a wave of emotion that just crushes all over me. And I like to just stand there and process and absorb and just try to not even necessarily sort through what I'm feeling at that moment, but giving myself the opportunity to enjoy being in that space and really sit with the historical pieces. I felt that way when I was in Gettysburg. I have felt that way in Ireland. I always feel that way in the Grand Canyon every time I'm there. The absolute weight of all the history that is in each layer of the Grand Canyon as you're walking through it, and to know that especially when you start from the top and you hike down to the bottom, that experience, it's like you have a visual story of the earth walking through the Grand Canyon. And the fact that, we can just go do that, to me, is absolutely incredible. And I feel that way a lot when I'm in the outdoors and doing outdoor activities. Other places I feel that way are Lake Powell. Lake Powell has some of that as well. And if you've been to either the Grand Canyon or Lake Powell, I hope you know what I'm talking about. I hope you stood long enough and looked around long enough to feel some of that stuff, some of that energy that's hanging out there. Okay, so other things on my list. So the Egyptian pyramids, same thing. Like, I imagine that when I'm standing in front of the pyramids, or as I'm coming up to the pyramids, I'm going to feel that weight of all the people who've been there before me, the people who built them, the people who died for them, the people who are buried under them, and the whole story of that place. And for me, that's what these landmarks and these historic places and the geological miracles that we have on Earth is, that just total, just that whole story. There's a whole history there that we have an opportunity to go and experience and learn from. And yeah, okay, I got sidetracked. Let's see. Brain, catch up. See there. Okay, so another question is, do you think you will be different after visiting? Sometimes when I visit a new place, or I visit a place that I've been wanting to go for a long time, sometimes I feel different afterwards and sometimes I don't. But I do think that as we widen our worldview, and when we travel, when we experience new places, when we meet new people, that widens our worldview and gives us a better understanding of the world at large and the world around us, and also informs our own perspective of truly the small communities we live in every day. Because most of us don't live at large. We're not constantly traveling. We're not constantly doing things. We spend most of our time in the same place, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And if you have no desire to travel, don't travel. But for those of us that like to travel, it really gives me it just deepens my awareness and broadens my perspective and helps me understand my community better every time I travel. And it also helps me identify places and things that I want to be able to help improve, or groups of people that I might previously not have been aware needed help or wanted help, or I hadn't been able to work with. Being able to see creative solutions for problems that are happening in our communities, and like some of the same problems are everywhere. And being able to see another community's solutions to those problems is just amazing. So those are things that I think of when I travel and when I visit new places and I see those historic landmarks. The last question I have for follow-up questions is, who would you take with you? So we're excited. We want to go visit this place. So the next part is, who do you want to take with you? Do you like traveling solo? Do you want to take mom? Do you want to take your spouse? Do you want your kids to see it? Those are the things, that's the next part I think about, is who do I want to take? And how do I make it work? So those are a few questions that you might want to use either to plan your travel. You can also reframe these questions and use them to write the narrative or write a story about a previous travel experience or a previous experience you had visiting a landmark that you haven't been able to write about. Of course, from this particular live stream, I think about everything now in terms of, how do we tell this story? What does it look like from a legacy perspective? So when major events happen, I do the same thing in a broad way. What can I contribute from a legacy perspective, and how can I help a person tell a story that they've been trying to express? So feel free to use these questions to create a narrative of how you're feeling about a specific landmark, and I would love to see it. If you would like to share it, feel free to tag me. If you have any questions about this, feel free to put them in the comments wherever you happen to be.
You've been watching an episode of The Legacy Lady talking possibly legacy after dark, and this is it. This is the end of the video. I would love if you would subscribe, and even better, share this video with someone you love. I will see you on the next video, and in the meantime, happy writing.